We heard from the Secretary to the Government of the Federation clarifying on the directives of reopening schools. We have the senior lecturer, Department of Petroleum and Natural Gas Engineering, that department, the Bayes University, Dr. Alkali Ibrahim. He joins us from Abuja studio. Glad you could join us on the program. Now, in your opinion, are schools ready to reopen? And this is especially students in graduating classes, even if it's just to prepare for their examinations.
Thank you, Millicent. Yes, to a large extent, I think the time is ripe for a phased opening of the schools, particularly for those students that are exiting JSS3 and the senior level, for those that are exiting. Actually, from this method, we can possibly pick some lessons on how best we can open up the schools. And this is the partial reopening that a lot of us have recommended, have supported. Partial reopening, because I think now it's really important that we look more on the side of opening the schools, and again more on the side of how best we can abide by these COVID-19 protocols, because that is what is done in other sectors. That is what is done in other sectors. Almost everything is open, interstate travels, public places, and all that. All that is required is to enhance observance of the COVID-19 protocols. Of course, wearing of masks, you can't get into the schools unless you wear your mask, temperature checks, and physical distancing, and hand sanitizers, and all of that. So I think it's really important now that we come to terms with the fact that it's really the time is ripe. The time is ripe to begin to think on possible full, total opening of these schools. But then, of course, it's also, I'm not saying the government is out of point by enhancing consultation. Of course, government needs to consult. We also have to bear in mind that these are cases, these are issues that involve children and non-adults. So it's in line for the government to consult widely with experts before this opening. But I think, to be honest, at this point, it is very clear that the time is ripe to begin a phased opening of the schools.
Is online not an option? And this is when we see some of other countries who have reopened, and the fact that the virus also resurfaced in several other countries outside Nigeria. So there are certain fears by lots of parents and a lot of people with regards to school reopening. Are we saying that this is a necessity now? Can't these examinations be conducted online, for example?
Yeah, well, Millicent, I would have wished that would be the case. But, last time I was here, we were discussing about this online, and very clearly, really, our educational system, our educational infrastructure doesn't have the capacity to, take up this online. Maybe for private schools, private universities, but if I'm being conservative, I will say that only about 10, 15, 20% are online now, as far as the schools are concerned. So if you can conduct an online exam for private schools, private universities in Abuja or in Lagos, can you do that in Gudo local government in Sokoto State, or in Goron local government in Sokoto State? You find out that you could have actually a whole local government where you couldn't identify a teacher who has a working laptop. Where is the power where are they? So that is the reality.
All right, Dr. Ibrahim.
Capacity to absorb this online is not there. So we really shouldn't amplify on online. Let's look at what is on ground. Let's look at the reality. Let's look at the facts, and let us, tailor our programs, our opening programs based on our affordability.
We'd like to thank you, Dr. Alkali Ibrahim, Senior Lecturer, Department of Petroleum and Natural Gas Engineering, Bayes University. Thank you for joining us on the program.